We continue to track breaking news of the worst kind tonight, the kind of news we wish did not happen. But here we are with a rising death toll in a mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. The Texas Department of Public Safety says they told him 18 children and 3 adults are dead. The 3 adults, the shooter, the shooter's grandmother, and a teacher. The shooter is also dead, killed by law enforcement responding to the call. The superintendent grieving with the community.
My heart was broken today. We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
The school serves students from 2nd to 4th grade.
Yeah, real little children. Governor Abbott is ordering state resources to be used to investigate this shooting. It happened at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. It's about 80 miles west of San Antonio.
Here's what we know right now. Police say an 18-year-old gunman went on a shooting rampage. The Texas governor identified the shooter as Salvador Ramos. He is from the area and died at the scene. The police department there releasing 2 brief statements today, still not giving a lot of information.
Once we're able to provide information to the families, we will do so. First and foremost, obviously, our priorities is to get information to our families and give them some information. So please bear with us.
Police in Uvalde are saying the shooter acted alone. About 600 students attend Robb Elementary. The school year was set to end Thursday, but all classes have been canceled for the rest of the year.
And just a few minutes ago, President Biden speaking to the American people about this latest mass shooting. Here's what he said.
To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. I ask the nation to pray for them. Give the parents and siblings the strength in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done?
Such a frightening afternoon for the moms and dads in Uvalde. This is video of the Reunification Center for Parents and Children at a nearby Civic Center there. Anieli Ruiz in Uvalde tonight, speaking with the families. Anieli?
Hey, Lynn, we're right actually outside the Civic Center where families continue to gather. Everyone here looking for any information on their children. Now, they tell me they sent them to school and then heard about the shooting and haven't heard any information since then. They tell me they've been to the local hospitals and some have even contacted San Antonio hospitals, and so far, no luck. But I just want to update you guys with the latest information. I spoke to some parents right now and they tell me they're actually going inside the center right now to provide investigators with some DNA. Now, we also spoke to one of the dads who's looking for his 10-year-old daughter, Jesse Rodriguez. He tells us he's looking for his 10-year-old daughter, Anabel Guadalupe Rodriguez, who's 10 years old and in the 3rd grade.
They didn't have a list for her name in here, so she's not here. So we're going to head on down Hondo and then San Antonio till we find her.
Not losing hope, huh?
No, well, I mean, I'll fill up the tank and I'll look all night if I have to. I got to find her.
Absolutely heartbreaking for all of these families just here waiting patiently. It's been hours since they've heard anything from their kids, hoping to find any information. And of course, everyone here hoping that their kid is not among the list of those who were killed today. Reporting live, Anieli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
Anieli, just wondering what will happen as the night goes on there.
You know, these parents tell me they're not going anywhere. They need to find their kids. They need to find out what happened to their kids. So if they have to stay here all night, these parents say they're willing to do whatever it takes just to find their kids.
Thinking of absolutely everyone in Uvalde tonight, especially those parents. Anieli, thank you.
A lot of people are commenting on what happened today. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner saying lawmakers need to enact reasonable gun control.
The massacres keep coming, and people are dying senselessly. These mass shootings are happening almost every week, and sometimes it's more than one in 1 week. There, you reach a point where you say enough already, and we should have said that years ago.
Governor Abbott ordering flags flown at half-staff in the state of Texas. He spoke about the shooting this afternoon.
When parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends. And there are families who are in mourning right now, and the state of Texas is in mourning with them for the reality that these parents are not going to be able to pick up their children.
In Washington, D.C., the White House flag was lowered to half-staff. President Biden has ordered flags at all public buildings be lowered to half-staff to honor the victims in Uvalde. Also in D.C., Texas Senator Ted Cruz watching the situation unfold. He spoke to reporters, calling what happened truly horrific.
It has happened far too many times. I have been there over and over and over again. I was at the Santa Fe High School just outside of Houston. I was at the Sutherland Springs Church just outside of San Antonio. I was in El Paso at the Walmart. I was in Midland, Odessa with the horrific mass murderer there. I was in Dallas with the mass murderer who targeted police officers. We are seeing way too many of these horrific mass murders. And we need to devote far more law enforcement resources to stopping violent criminals, to preventing these kind of absolute acts of evil.
U.S. Senator John Cornyn reacting with a statement saying, quote, "The shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde is every parent and teacher's worst nightmare. No parent, child, or teacher should ever have to wonder whether it's safe to go to school."
He goes on to say this is an excruciatingly difficult time for the tight-knit Uvalde community and for all Texans as we mourn this terrible tragedy.
He continues, "My heart goes out to those in the hospital receiving care and to the loved ones of those who lost their lives. As a parent, the pain they must be feeling is unimaginable." One footnote here, John Cornyn has dropped out of the speaker lineup for this Friday's NRA convention here in Houston. An aide tells us it has nothing to do with Uvalde. He informed the organization before the tragedy happened that he would not be able to speak due to a scheduling conflict.
This investigation means all hands on deck. Former FBI Supervisor Denner Franks speaking with KHOU 11 about what agents are tracking down about this suspect.
They're just going to try to get a full scope of everything he's been doing in the last year or so, and they're going to access every bit of media and social media they can to try to get a picture of what he has been doing.
Now, something making this more difficult for first responders, the size of the hospital in Uvalde. It is a relatively remote town, 80 miles from the nearest major medical center in San Antonio. We spoke with Dr. Brent Cazzini from Texas Children's Hospital about how that can impact the response.
Oftentimes in these horrific events, and in particular in elementary school age children, there aren't many survivors because of the severity of these injuries that they sustain on scene. And so unfortunately, not many of them survive these injuries. I think, first I think of this response and this incident and how horrific this is as a parent of a 4- and 7-year-old. And second, I think of it as a clinician and what it must be like to be in that hospital that received those victims from the scene. Recognizing that, not all hospitals are fully equipped to take care of a large-scale mass casualty incident like this. And surely, dealing with the ongoing pressures of the pandemic, the mental health crisis, all of these other things, our emergency centers are definitely pushed to the limits already. So adding something like this on top of that is just only more salt in the wounds.
And it certainly raises more questions about school safety. HISD Superintendent Millard House releasing this statement on the shooting. He says, quote, "Our hearts ache as we share in the grief and pain of Uvalde, the community there. Robb Elementary children, teachers, staff, and families experience what no one should, let alone at a place we trust is safe for our children." He also says the safety of our students is our foremost priority. The Houston ISD Police Department is evaluating safety measures on our campuses and will adjust accordingly. He says, I want to ensure the HISD community that we are taking this very seriously. HISD police have reached out to Houston police, and there are no, they say, active threats currently in Houston.
And Conroe ISD saying, quote, our hearts are broken for our neighbors in Uvalde. As a proactive measure, we will have a highly visible police presence the next 2 days. They say all Conroe ISD officers will be on duty and on campus. They're also calling for help from Montgomery County deputies and the Conroe Police Department.
Before we go, another update, the latest we know at this hour in this shooting. Texas DPS reporting 18 children and 3 adults have been killed in a mass shooting that includes the suspect. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says it is believed the shooter was killed by responding officers. The Uvalde school police chief saying the suspect acted alone. Right now, they are obtaining background information on the gunman identified as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. Things they're looking into, of course, motive, the types of weapons he used, and whether he was legally allowed to have them. We're going to have a lot more coming up on KHOU 11 News at 10.
We thank you for joining us for this digital news update.